Title of my presentation is Pushing Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Forward in Asia Pacific. So I'll get started. About myself, my name is Tomo Ito. I've been working at JPCERT CC for 8 years now. My job title is Global CVD Project Lead. My main focus is CVD and related topics, including CVE, SBOM, VEX, ISO, and IEC. And I collaborate with different partners around the globe. So it's very nice meeting you. In today's presentation, I'll be talking about my organization a little bit, and then to the main topic, CVD, APCERT Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure Working Group, which was established last year, September. We introducing the working group, members, objectives, motivation, CVD challenges in Asia Pacific, and idea for the working group's future structure. And I will also be asking your opinions about the working group's future structure as well. So a little bit about my organization. JPCERT Coordination Center, we are a CERT, CSIRT in Japan. We are a nonprofit, non-governmental, and independent organization. We are funded by the government, but we are not the government. So we're a neutral organization. We were founded in October 1996, and we were the first CSIRT in Japan and have 20 plus years of experience in this field. Here's a list of our activities: incident handling, information gathering, analysis, sharing, internet traffic monitoring, vulnerability coordination, global coordination, domestic coordination, and vulnerability coordination is the activity that relates to this presentation today. So on CVD, for people who may not know too much about it, I'll briefly explain what CVD is. So CVD stands for Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure. It's the process of gathering, coordinating, and sharing of vulnerability information. It is a global good practice, and the CVD stakeholders include people like finders, reporters. These are people who find vulnerabilities or report vulnerabilities, and vendors and suppliers, product owners. They conduct CVD on their own. Coordinators, like CERT organizations like JPCERT CC, CERT CC, governments often, CISA, and national CSIRTs, people like that. And product users who are potentially affected by the vulnerabilities. These are important people. So here's the basic processes that we do in of CVD inside our organization. So we first accept the vulnerability reports. We receive private reports. Sometimes the information is shared from different CERTs or governments and so on. And sometimes public information can be the source of the information. And we handle domestic and overseas products. The second step is vulnerability analysis, basically understanding the report and stuff. And it is important in the step to understand the root cause of the issue, because without understanding what the real issue is, you're going to have to come back and keep doing the same thing over and over again. So it is very important. And then move on to coordination, basically providing reports and the information to the vendors and other entities as necessary. Ask for the fix, often negotiate and coordinate disclosure date, stuff like that. So that's coordination. And finally, we publish advisories on our vulnerability web portal site, JVN. And when publishing the advisory, we assign CVIDs and other scores such as CVSS and vulnerability type such as CWEs. So here's what our advisory looks like. We got information like overview of the issues, affected products, product names, and the versions that are affected by the issue, description of the issue, vulnerability type, CWE, CVSS scores, impact, what happens from the issue, and so on. And solutions, it's basically countermeasures, so updating software or applying the workarounds, stuff like that are described here. And we have credits. This is very important because it affects the motivation of the reporters and finders. And at the bottom, you can see the CVID is being assigned. So about CVE and CVD, CVE are assigned by these organizations called CNAs. CNA is an organization that is authorized to assign CVIDs to vulnerabilities found within their distinct scope. And to become a CNA, you have to prepare vulnerability disclosure policy, vulnerability advisory location, and point of contact facing public to accept vulnerability reports. So in a sense, basically, if one organization becomes a CNA, they become CVD ready. For us, and I assume for many others as well, the important factors of CVDs are things like these. The first one, vulnerability information is reached to appropriate stakeholders. Obviously, people that need to know of the information. And the second one, fix is ready for users when vulnerability is disclosed. This is important as well because without some kind of fix being prepared before disclosing, it's going to be a 0 day, so that's not good. And a third one, vulnerability information is disclosed at an appropriate timing, and it is very important that fix is being applied. So the purpose of CVD is to reduce risks to the users, developers, and the society. So basically, CVD is risk reduction activity. So CVD is moving forward in different regions. So let's take a look at the US and EU. In the US, there's CERT, the very first CVD coordinator organization. We learn and are still learning from them a lot. And there's DHS CISA. They're actively tackling supply chain issues, and they are also CVD coordinator. And there are many vendors with a high CVD maturity level overall. And many CVD related discussions are going on, and many more in the place. In the EU, there are coordinator organizations like NCSCNL, NCSA-FI, Finland and Netherlands, and CERT in CB. Many coordinator CSIRT or government or CERT organizations there, very experienced in CVD. NISA and regional CSIRTs are setting up the CVD structure as a whole. So things are moving forward, and there are multiple highly mature vendors, especially in Germany, and EUCR is common. Vulnerability disclosure policy is required for products with digital elements manufacturers. So things are moving forward there as well. And let's take a look at Asia Pacific, of course, including Japan. We have many product or component suppliers, vendors in the region, but CVD readiness level is relatively low at this moment. And there are so much CNA adoption, CNA adoption space left there. And there has not been any ongoing CVD collaborative framework in Asia Pacific region. So basically, we got like so much things to do still. For reference, let's take a look at the number of CNAs in the world. Blue is 13 plus CNAs, orange is 8 to 12. In the US, obviously, you can see there are so many if you look at the number. And then we got so many in Germany as well, and multiple CNAs in EU. And we'll take a look at the number in Asia Pacific. We got many in China, so that's good. But Japan and India, orange. We got a few in different areas here and there, but we can have a lot more. So CVD and CVE, we can do a lot more. So we created this CVD working group in the region. So I'll be speaking about that. The motivation for creating the CVD working group are things like these. JPCERT CC is a CVD coordinator, CNA, and a root recruits, establishes, and manages CNAs within their distinct scope. So our root scope is Japan organizations. We are creating Japanese CNAs. And yeah, I'll touch on these. NPCVD occurs frequently, and collaboration among different stakeholders is a must. There has not been any ongoing CVD collaborating framework in Asia Pacific, obviously, and We live in an interdependent world. Many products or components come from the region, but not enough CNAs. So CBD, CV adoption spaces are left in the AP region, and we need a place for CVD and CBD collaboration as Asia Pacific. So why not create the CVD working group in the region with that? So APCERT, we created this working group in this CSIRT community of Asia Pacific called APCERT. These are the operational members. They're like this, basically the national CSIRT people there. And there are other member types such as cooperative members in the APCERT community as well. So we established a working group with first with CERT India, Kara CERT CC, TW CERT CC. We contacted them first because we knew that they conduct CVD activities and they are CNAs. So we helped each other out. We worked together and created this working group. And after the creation of the working group, Cybersecurity Malaysia and APCERT, who from Australia, both not conducting CVD activity currently, but were interested, joined the working group. That was good. So including JPCERT CC, we have 6 members total. And currently the working group members are limited to the APCERT operational members, which I just showed. We were first starting with the national CSIRTs for the discussion, but we plan on expanding the membership more broad in the future. So here are the working group's objectives. Basically, I'm not gonna read like everything, but enhancing the regional cooperation, developing the capacities to deal with the global CVD challenges, knowledge and experience sharing, assist other CERTs. We want to be helpful in the AP region and also around the world. Find solutions to overcome the challenges regarding CVD and CVE, and create this cooperative framework for CVD activities in the region. These are planned activities, quarterly meetings, presentations of each member's CVD activities or interests, and document outputs, spot Asia Pacific CVD challenges, and create this CVD framework. And this is the situation right now. We are, as I said, doing the presentation and stuff, getting to know each other, knowledge sharing, learning from each other through discussions. And later, we plan on creating this cooperative CVD framework as the region and contribute to the global CVD ecosystem. So that's the working group. And now I'm going to talk about the challenges that's been spotted so far, not by the working group, but by JPCERT. So these are the 3 CVD challenges spotted so far. The first one is being latecomers. Second one, CVD weighs more on government. And third one is low maturity level. So I'll explain about these. First one, being latecomers. Of course, there are some mature ones, experienced ones, but as a regional movement, we are the latecomer as a whole. And early adopters, like commonly, early adopters moves ahead of laws and regulations, like the real mature people. And the latecomers reference the trials of the early adopters. And often laws and regulations are created by the latecomers without them having enough experiences. So that could be a problem. Second one, CVD weighs more on government. So CVD, basically risk reduction activity and good practice. And it does not always have to be laws or regulations. And in Asia Pacific, the more government agencies are likely to be leading the CVD work. And I'm not saying that it is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. but it's not too good when doing security or CVD. It's only because the government told you to do so. So basically, the government is strong and it can affect the motivation of private companies in positive and negative way. So let's say the good part is when government says, set some rules or government says to do so, it can be the strong push that is very helpful. And another example is our situation. We have this government set CVD framework in Japan, and JPCERT CC is the designated coordinator there. And the good part is, by the way, it's not a law. It's just a framework, and it's like a recommendation. And vendors and suppliers are recommended and encouraged to participate to the framework, but there's no like punishment or anything like that. But this gives us, the good part is this gives us more opportunity to have close relationship with the vendors. So that is awesome. But on the flip side, the bad part is there are some risks of remaining the vendors remaining too framework dependent, less spontaneous, if you know what I mean. So that we should be careful of as well. And it's not only government, but when like sometimes when government is involved, things become unclear sometimes. So not every government or always, but things like this can happen. Like who's doing what on CVD, how the information will be treated, the who the information be shared with. There could be some detachment from the expecting common CVD practices, laws and regulations. Like, is it safe to contact the government, or will this change like all of a sudden if the government leader changes, stuff like that, or sort of like the fear factor. And these things can cause motivational loss of external parties. So we must also be careful about these things. The third one, low maturity level. I said there are some matured PCERTs, security teams, CNAs in Asia Pacific region, but in general, the level's low. And many of the vendors are lacking CVD readiness, like having their own vulnerability disclosure policy and stuff like that. So that's the situation. And like I've been saying, CVD, CVE, CNA adoption space left. And there are some wide gaps between matured and unmatured. So let's say when, for example, national CSIRTs, like some of you guys have more access to matured models or information compared to the private organizations in your region, but that often creates more gaps between you guys and them. So that's another thing to think about. And I've said these three challenges, and these challenges can often be connected and can make things complicated and ironic. So let's say latecomers creating matured framework, like real good one, referencing the early adopters works without having much experience by themselves. And this could cause some more widening of the gaps between matured and unmatured even more. So like sometimes doing good with good intentions, learning from good people still could create some problems. So these are the things that we should be careful about. So back to the working group, how can the working group contribute to the ecosystem? We have different organizations and different reasons, several organizations in the working group, different situations, different laws, stuff like that. But so that is a good thing, I think. Being different is beautiful, so I like that. But by that, we're gonna have discussions and consensus building of what CVD is or what good CVD is, and we'll be taking necessary actions like CVD development, raise CVD maturity level, create more CNAs, obviously, create cooperative framework, coordinate APCVD together. That'll be fun, but that's what we've been doing. Like we all have been trying to do this at the same time. It's not that through the working group we are not. We are trying to create this big CERT organization or CSIRT organization and stuff like that. The question is, how could the working group can function in the future to contribute to the global ecosystem? So when thinking about such things, these I feel are key elements to consider. Uh, First one, framing CVD as good practice. So as I said, in Asia Pacific, CVD tends to be more government led. And CVD is often combined with like laws and regulations. But CVD itself is neither. Basically, the fundamental purpose of CVD is to CVD. So it is important that we understand them separately. And clarity is important. Like I've mentioned in my previous slides, who's doing what on CVD, how the information will be shared and treated, detachment from the experience, expecting common CVD practices, laws and regulations, things like that. These things should be clear. And stability, like will this change all of a sudden? Like that's another fear factor. So in other words, if CVD becomes like more region and country specific, that's not good. It just makes things harder for everyone else or everyone. And unclarity causes confusions, blocks communications, information flow, the information must flow, and instability takes away the predictability and motivations of external parties. So what we should consider is, no one wants troubles especially when they're doing things globally. So we came up with this idea of the CVD working group becoming the Asia Pacific CVD supporting team in the region in the future. So if necessary, we can act as translator. I believe that will be helpful, bridging different cultures and language areas, so on. And we could act as balancer, mediator, safe harbor, point of contact of Asia Pacific, different stakeholders, and risk and trouble observer. No one wants troubles. And we should do this like beyond regional circumstances, harmonization with the global ecosystem. And again, CERT often supports CVD. So this sounds like, what CERT normally do, but not every CERT helps you the way you expect them to every time, nor not every CERT conducts CVD. So that's the idea, CVD supporting team. That's what we are thinking about, but we're gonna have to have more discussions in the working group. So your input is very important. About the CVD, Asia Pacific CVD supporting team idea, working group becoming the region CVD supporting team is a big possibility, like absorbing risks, problems, balancer, things like that. And working group has just started. It started like it was established last year, but the meeting started like this year, early this year. So we're brand new. So your like more inputs at this point is like very helpful. And it will be appreciated if you can come up with action item ideas to make this happen. For example, like what should we be careful of? What should we reference? Who should we talk to? What actions we should take? Stuff like that. So your input, like right now or right after the presentation or even after going back to your place, will be very much appreciated. So summary, bit early, but APCERT CVD working group activities just started. We're having discussions and we're trying to do this consensus building of what CVD is and trying to create this cooperative framework, CVD framework, and idea of Asia Pacific CVD supporting teams there. So anything, not just about the future structure, but your opinions on the working group will be very much appreciated. I presented about this working group and the idea of the working group becoming the CVD supporting team in Asia Pacific region in different conference, and there were some, several people that was trying to help. So that is very appreciated. So if you have anything, please let me know. This is my email address, and contact me anytime. Your thoughts, your idea, or if you would like to speak at the meeting, stuff like that will be appreciated. So it's a bit early, but this concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. We have questions.
Hi, Tomo. This is Lori from CERT CC.
Oh.
I'm just wondering how many of your large vendors are actually participating in a CNA program, going to become a CNA?
Okay. Oh, as a group, we have been working on, establishing the CNAs in the region. And I believe we have 9 right now. So, yeah, and we are recruiting more. So, yeah, that's the situation that we're in.
All right. I have a question also. I think it's great that you're building this up in the Asia Pacific region.
Mhm.
CVD is still needs more adoption, and
Right.
it's great to see that you're doing this in this region. So many thanks for starting that up.
Much.
I wonder, so the working group is mostly governments, and you mentioned just the struggles with lawmaking. We've seen this in the EU also.
Mhm.
In the EU, the NIS2 is
Right.
stimulating the CVD program.
Mhm.
How is the situation in Asia Pacific with regards to laws and the ability and the compatibility with CVD?
Yeah, to my knowledge, it still hasn't happened. There are some regulations being like pushed forward, for example, in Korea, but not really CVD. CVD is more like a supply chain stuff. So not too much CVD laws or regulations happening right now, but I assume that it could happen anytime.
Yeah. But there's two different kinds of regulations. One is that pushing and stimulating CVD programs,
Right.
but the other is making it safe for a reporter. How is that in the Asia Pacific region?
Okay, making things like safer for
I mean,
reporters.
if you're finding a vulnerability, often you're breaking into systems.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking the law because you're entering a system that you're not supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to make things right, and you want to report a vulnerability.
Right.
But there's a possibility that you'll be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
How is that
Situation in the Asia Pacific. To not like I don't have full detail of like each country's situation, so I can't speak on that. But basically the so far the things regarding like finders finding issues and breaking into the system and laws and regulations stuff like that hasn't been brought up. So I don't I assume not too much is being discussed at this point, but considering such issues, that's why we want to make this CVD supporting team beyond like regional circumstances or law. So that was a great question, and I feel that the supporting team idea would work for such things. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
it's a great
Yeah.
thing to work on, and it is a very difficult problem. Even in the EU, we're struggling with this because many of the EU member states, for example, don't have laws that are compatible with CVD. So, yeah.
Your input will be very much appreciated.
Yeah.
As well.
Any other questions this morning? Yeah.
Thank you for presentation. In Asia Pacific, in which country do you think it will be ideal to have a CNA? If you think so, what size of CNA do you think would be ideal?
Okay, there are like today there are some CNAs in AP region. For example, like CERT India, KR CERT CC, and TW CERT CC
Yes.
and are CNAs. But are you talking about like the like what country should have more CNAs? Or what?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's like basically country with many product or component suppliers, Korea, India, TWs. I mean Taiwan. Places like that are definitely they should have more CNAs. Maybe there should be a route so they can recruit more. And yeah, more CNAs always welcome. So that's the situation. Thank you.
Okay. Many thanks for your interesting and thought-provoking presentation. I think this is the right crowd to ask for input and more participation.
Mhm.
I applaud your effort and many thanks for your presentation this morning. So please thank the speaker.
Thank you so much.